Hi everyone. So as you can see, Andrew Yang got 13.8 million people watching him on night two of the second debate, and that's an amazing crowd. Like it's a good amount of people that you get to get exposure towards, and a lot of those will be new voters. Especially, well, firstly, a lot of them will be new to Andrew Yang because a lot of them wouldn't have seen him in the first debate, or they would have got very little like idea of what he really represented until they actually heard more of him speak. So I think the second time round, a lot of people would have heard him speak and they would have been quite inspired and they would have been researching him and looking at him and thinking, actually, hey, he's actually a candidate worth voting for. Um, so one thing that Andrew Yang did really well was the way he portrayed his policies, and that basically has led to him getting a massive increase in donations. Like for Andrew Yang, he doesn't get a large amount of donations. To put it into perspective, if he gets 2 million over 3 months, for him that's actually quite a successful raising campaign. And if he gets 3 or 4 million, it's even more successful. So after the debate, 24 hour period, he got $500,000. So $500,000 in just one day is incredible in terms of what he's managed to get in donations prior to that. So anyone that donated to him, I'd say you've done a really good job helping him get this far. Getting those donations do help candidates just stay in the race, especially when they're having to like hire a lot of people, be on the road, and there's just so many expenses. Um, and also, it's also part of the criteria. You need 130,000 donations in order to make the next debate. He has over 150,000, so he's doing great on that side. He's just missing that one more poll that he thinks he can get probably end of like within this week, which fingers crossed that he does. Um, like the second debate numbers were great because like 13.8 million. But in comparison to the first debate, there was only 20 million, 27 million people watching the second night when he was speaking. So it's half the size basically. So I imagine that crowd they were thinking, if we've seen the first night, um, you know, in terms of a first round of debates, there's nothing new when it comes to the second round of debates with the same people basically having a go at each other. So I'd say the difference is actually in the third debate, because in the third debate, as you can see here, they actually allocate September the 12th and September the 13th, and that basically means however many people make this third debate, that lot's going to be split into two. So the number will be either 10 or 12, and basically if it's like 5 candidates compared to 10, it means these candidates get double the speaking time that they originally would have gotten in the first debate. So on the third debate, they'll get double the speaking time. So imagine what that would do for a candidate like, especially like Andrew Yang, who the more you hear him speak, the more you believe that this is someone who actually can make a difference, and the policies that he has, it's quite refreshing to be able to hear someone with actual policies. So I think this is probably the election round. Like this is the first, probably one of the few elections where being able to make the debate actually makes a significant difference. Like I'm going to take you to the 2016 elections. And for the Democrats, there was basically six people who really went for it. Three dropped out quite early on, and then you had Clinton, and you had Sanders, and you had O'Malley. O'Malley, gave it a good shot, but the other two were just way too strong for them, and they didn't end up going as far as they probably wanted to, even though they had a decent amount of support. And I'm hoping that's not going to end up to be like Andrew Yang, where he's not getting the support that he needs, and two other people who are more popular end up just going all the way. Like the one thing I would point out is I'm not, can't necessarily say that money makes all the difference. But if you look here, Martin O'Malley, he raised $6 million versus Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, who both got over 200 million. So if you think about the amount of money that was spent for the top two versus the third, that's an incredible amount. So the fact that he could make it that far, he's done a really good job. I think Yang's raising more than 6 million. I think he's already getting around 6 million probably from when he started till now. I'd say he's got a lot more chance to continue to raise more. But being able to make the third debate is going to be an incredible change in terms of the amount of people that get to hear him speak, and afterwards the donations that are going to come in to help him support his campaign. Um, because if you think about the second debate where he actually got a decent amount of speaking time, and in $500,000 raised in 24 hours, for a candidate like him, that's going to make a huge difference in terms of getting out to travel more places, get more exposure. So I'd say if anyone can, it's like make it possible, donate to the guy, recommend him to other people, and then hopefully you see him on the third debate. I think if he can make the third debate, that's when it's a profound difference. Because one thing that's going to change is, as you see here, these are all the candidates. Are really long lists. Like, if you compare to the 2016 when you had people, you've got, about 24 people around here, which is an incredible amount, and only two have dropped out. So, there's still quite a lot in the race, but I think when the end of August hits, and a lot of people realize they haven't made the third debate, a lot of them are going to start dropping out, and Andrew Yang needs to stay in there to be able to gather all that extra, all those extra voters that have just been left with no candidate to vote for overnight. So, I don't think I know a lot of the other names in terms of the ones that never participated in the debates. So I'd say you'd probably see probably 4 or 5 at least drop out by the end of August, which a lot of that support could go to Yang. And also he was going to get a ton of donations if that's the case as well, because new supporters usually means new donations. So if you think about it, being able to make the third debate is going to be a campaign changing situation. Um, and I guarantee you a lot more people are going to start tuning in, because first debate, everyone's quite interested in all the new candidates and what they represent. And then once that second debate, everyone thinks they've already heard what they need to in the first, so they don't really tune in the second. But once it gets to the third debate, when the crowd narrows down like dramatically, everyone goes, there's something new and refreshing, and it's not this overcrowded stage. So I'd say third debate, if you make it, it's going to change the whole campaign completely. So I'd hope everyone's going to manage to be able to support him through that. Um, I mean, he's done really well so far. The one thing he really needs is being able to get that extra poll, and if he can make the third debate, he will be there at least for until next year. But if he doesn't make the third debate, it's a huge disadvantage. I won't say it takes him out completely, um, but he loses so much exposure that it can potentially just change the whole field, because at that time, when you have the third debate, a lot of other candidates have probably dropped out, and there's a lot of supporters that are just looking for a distinctive candidate who is just something different, something, inspirational, someone who's going to make actual change, someone with policies. So you think about it that way and you go, that's a great time for Andrew Yang to really make a big hit, and then really go up that poll in numbers. So I'd say watch for this week if he gets this that last poll that he needs, and afterwards definitely if he doesn't, like, I mean, there's a deadline. If you don't get the numbers by the end of August, you don't make the debate. So he needs the numbers. I'd say if you know someone, definitely recommend them. And in so if 13.8 million people watching him can raise $500,000 in 24 hours, think about the third debate when the numbers could be potentially up to 27 million people or more. That's going to change his whole campaign. So I'd say watch that space, see how he performs. Let's hope he gets that fourth poll. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.